Axial. Evil Iron Man confirmed. A new Marvel report. Sound good. Sound amazing. Let's see what this is all about. See what the damn the nerds has to say about this, and check this out.
Marvel fans, there's a new report out there about how the 838 universe is being set up as a major antagonist of our heroes for the multiversal saga. It is possible that major conflict is going to continue to happen throughout the multiversal saga between that universe and our own. The new rumor even indicates that an evil variant of Tony Stark that was missing from the Illuminati scenes in Multiverse of Madness may well lead heroes from that universe to try to destroy our own. And so in this video, I want to break down this new report, talk about all of the details that we can glean from it, and then using the power of being a gigantic freaking nerd, I will combine the new reports with old reports and give context and try to do the best job I possibly can of explaining to you what I think Kevin Feige is going to do with the MCU with regards to 838 and 616. I feel that this will be very similar to what happens in Marvel Comics leading up to the most recent Secret Wars, in which there are two remaining universes left in the entirety of the multiverse, and those two universes end up colliding and collapsing. It's so freaking cool. I'm hella pumped to get into this, so smash a like on this video and maybe grab a towel because it's gonna get sweaty. Okay, so first up, let's talk about where this report comes from, and let's try to clarify what is speculation in this report and what is fact. Now, this all comes from a big podcast done over at the Cosmic Circus. I recently did a video breaking down the broad strokes of a ton of different awesome things that were discussed in this podcast. But around the 40-minute mark, the conversation focused on incursions. And this is where we get the concept and the idea of 838 continuing to play a big role in the multiverse. And if you listen to the podcast, it's interesting because there are points in the podcast where they're speculating, there are points in the podcast where they're trying to talk around certain things that they might know, and they're trying to be careful as to not reveal too much information that they have received from their sources. But the first thing that comes up is sort of talking around when the next incursion will happen in the MCU. And this is heavily rumored to take place in the movie The Marvels. And according to the plot leaks for that film, this incursion is going to happen, and they're going to use the Bangles, one of which we see in the Miss Marvel show, to basically pause and or stop this incursion from happening. The only thing is, when they do this, Monica Rambeau will be trapped on the other side of the incursion. She will be trapped in the 838 universe. Now, it really does seem like this being the case in the Marvels would indicate that 838 is here to stay. I definitely don't see them putting one of our actual characters over in that universe and then just leaving that thread dangling. But to be crystal clear, they are actually speculating in the podcast that there will be another massive incursion in an Avengers movie that will involve 838 and the 616. That's technically speculation. Perhaps it's more than speculation, but as far as what they are officially admitting to in the podcast, they're saying that that is their speculation. But again, I think this is a pretty safe bet, and it would be absolutely incredible for the concept of the 838 universe to be established all the way back in the Multiverse of Madness, only to continue to play a massive role in what will happen next. And as they bring up in the podcast, Stephen Strange spent a long time in the 616 universe, and so the threat of incursion is pretty massive for that universe specifically. I mean, it's technically even possible that the incursion that Clea is mentioning at the post-credit scene of the Multiverse of Madness film is one between 616 and 838. She does say that Steven caused an incursion. But they also talk about in this podcast how there was a member of the Illuminati not present in all of the scenes in Multiverse of Madness. There's literally a chair that's empty in those scenes. And they kind of talk around this again before they eventually admit that it is an Iron Man, an evil version of Iron Man that created Ultron in that universe, is a member of the Illuminati but was not present during the scenes with Wanda. Now, they even talk about Tom Cruise in the podcast, and Alex Perez, who seems to have incredible sources, seem to not like the Tom Cruise idea. But if you really listen to what's going on in the pod, he is not debunking it. He actually just thinks, from a fan perspective, it would be nuts to bring in Robert Downey Jr. as an evil version of Iron Man. And I do agree, that would be nuts. Robert Downey Jr. as an evil version of Iron Man would be a very compelling villain, and it would be nuts to see him go against the Avengers of 616. Like, imagine Rhodey actually having to fight Tony Stark that looks exactly like the Tony Stark that, of course, he had a lot of memories with. And I do wonder if the idea of Robert Downey Jr. or Tom Cruise, and maybe the inability to decide exactly what direction they wanted to go in, was the reason that Iron Man was removed from those scenes. Now, they mentioned that there are several folks, including this Iron Man variant, from the 838 universe that would have a bone to pick with Wanda, with Stephen Strange, with America Chavez, and with the 616 in general. So as far as separating out fact from speculation, it seems like what they're saying in the podcast is that 838 will continue to play a role in the multiverse, that there will be an incursion between 838 and 616 in the Marvels, and that they believe that there will continue to be a conflict between 838 and 616, and that it is seemingly going to be an evil version of Iron Man that leads the charge from the 838 universe. Okay, so that's the official report. Now we're going to use these powers of being a gigantic freaking nerd and try to pull this all together. I'll try to denote when I'm speculating and when I'm talking about things that I've actually heard. And so first up, let's talk about 838 in general and the fact that the Illuminati and a lot of the characters from 838 are going to be depicted as evil. We heard a lot about deleted scenes and concepts that were abandoned when it came to the Multiverse of Madness, but one of my favorite reports was about how they were originally going to handle Wanda being lobotomized. And different people from Marvel are actually on record talking about this idea, that they were going to go in this direction. In the movie, they were going to explain that after Doctor Strange in the 838 universe realized that Wanda was this prophesized figure after he was studying the Darkhold, he would then go to the Illuminati, tell them about the threat of the Scarlet Witch, and then they would formulate a plan to deal with her. And the plan to deal with her was to have Charles Xavier basically do a mental lobotomy on Wanda that would see her become way more passive, domesticated, and less of a threat. There was even going to be a scene where they approached Magneto, who was going to be Fassbender's Magneto in the 838 universe, and they were going to talk about how Wanda, his daughter, was this massive threat, this prophesized figure, and they needed to lobotomize her. And then Charles would have done it. And I think part of the reason they removed this from the film is that the movie itself doesn't work as well if we think the 838 Illuminati are all really evil. Like, it's not as much of a shock, and it doesn't, mess us up as an audience if we see Wanda destroying all of these people that we think are bad guys. That scene works as shocking and brutal because we see these heroes and then we have Wanda come in and decimate them. And so I think that's why they kind of remove some of those scenes for the 838 in Multiverse of Madness. However, there's still a lot of hints that this Illuminati is not made up of good guys. I mean, the way they killed Stephen Strange, and they're all just standing there, staring at Stephen, getting his reaction to it, was kind of creepy. So I personally think it's still the case that the characters of the 838 universe are at least more morally gray, and perhaps even if they're not full-on bad guys, they're willing to do way more evil stuff and sort of bend the rules for the greater good. And in fact, Marvel's Illuminati has a history of this. This is sort of imbued in all of the different Illuminati stories, doing things behind the scenes that have massive ramifications and sometimes bending the rules or hurting some folks for the greater good. But it's possible that now, after having a bunch of their members destroyed by Wanda, this group and different characters from this universe are going to turn heel in a big, big way. Like perhaps this variant of Tony Stark is going to come back, see all of the footage, further understand what is happening in the multiverse, and set his sights and all of his resources on getting revenge or destroying the 616 universe. And that idea becomes really interesting because we already know that they were way more advanced than us. They were way more advanced than the 616 universe. First of all, that Tony Stark actually perfected Ultron. Ultron actually working did prevent and change a lot of the bad things that happened in the 616 universe. They also already have this knowledge of the multiverse. They've even cataloged the 616 universe and know a lot about incursions and how things operate in the cosmos. It's possible that this group of Illuminati were already going to different parts of the universe to destroy other Earths, maybe just to prevent incursions. Like maybe the Supreme Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that is the last living person in his universe after losing, maybe that character actually lost a fight to this evil variant of Iron Man. And another big question for us is, what are they going to do with Monica? I mean, Monica's powers are very unique, and I think her powers are part of what's able to stop that incursion from happening. So will the 838 Illuminati, or maybe the Baxter Foundation, or this evil Tony Stark devise a way to use Monica to shut down other incursions? And as I've said before, even the members of the Illuminati that were killed by Wanda, I think could be brought back from the dead. There's a ton of different ways this could happen. I made a whole video about this back when the Multiverse of Madness first came out. But the TLDR is it's comics. I mean, they've got the Time Stone. They've got all kinds of ways that they could bring these characters back. What if they bring John Krasinski back and he now knows the actual threats, he remembers being killed by Wanda, and he's hell-bent on revenge? And so I think when you consider all the context given to us about 838 in the Multiverse of Madness, and when you think about the fact that this incursion in the Marvels is going to be a major plot point for the multiversal conflict moving forward, I don't think it's crazy at all to think that you're going to get a major conflict between 838 and 616. But my question becomes, how does this tie in with Kang? Is Kang going to come to the 838 universe and offer them something if they take out the 616? Or is this going to be happening completely absent of Kang, and this group of people from 838 just sees destroying 616 as the best way to save their own universe? And if that's a major part of the Kang dynasty, then how do you tie that to Kang, He Who Remains, and into Secret Wars? For me, as a fan that really wants to see this 838 universe be a big player moving forward, I'm fascinated to see if other Marvel projects will also tie into the 838. Like, is it possible that the Fantastic Four movie deals with the 838 in some way? Is it possible that the Armor Wars movie deals with this 838 universe? Maybe Tony Stark from our universe knew something about this. It's all really fascinating, but I think from the perspective of comics, it makes a lot of sense. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, in the Time Runs Out event that leads directly into Secret Wars, the entire multiverse is being destroyed by incursions. And it gets to a point where there are only 2 universes left in all of the multiverse. And there was this massive freaking battle where all characters from the Ultimates universe come in and start fighting against all of the characters from the 616. And while this massive conflict is happening, you still have the Illuminati trying to figure out this ship that could take some people from this universe and have them survive the end of the multiverse into whatever multiverse happens next. And then you also have Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom fighting the Beyonders at the edge of time. And you have the Cabal led by an evil variant of Reed Richards also trying to preserve their life in a similar ship to survive the end of the multiverse. And when Secret Wars finally rolled around, you had a group of heroes mostly made up of 616 people, but there was Miles Morales as well. And you had a group of villains that came from either the 616 universe or the Ultimates universe, and they're both groups of major players during the Secret War events of Battleworld. It is very possible that those threads from that comic book story will be adapted somehow, some way into what Marvel is doing with the Kang Dynasty and with Secret Wars. It's absolutely fascinating news. I'm incredibly excited. If you have any thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Smash a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed for a chance to win dope nerdy things each and every month. And if you want to watch more, why not check out the video I did breaking down all of the latest crazy multiversal scoops.
Just subscribe, like this video. Have a great night. See you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. See you guys. Bye.